All right, everybody, welcome back to Duty Bound Podcast. Do not adjust your volume. You are in the right place. I am your host with my other host on here, back in the building with Tony and Ayana. What's up, ladies?
Hey.
I am, y'all know me. I'm like the hypest introvert y'all ever meet behind this mic. So I'm like excited, and nobody's going to know why out in our studio audience, but I'll explain later. Anyway, I'm also excited because anytime we have special guests, I'm also stupid excited. So I am excited about our special guest because, one, she doesn't have a military affiliation, but she's so dope. And I can't wait for y'all to meet her, talk about her, and we're still going to get into the topic. And we're still going to talk about our military mental health and how this all applies. So everybody, welcome to the studio, Dr. Alisha Alls. Like, all of it.
Hello.
This is where we're going to add that sound effect of the whole audience clapping. Yeah.
Oh my God. I love it.
Yes. Now, Dr. Alls, do you like to be called Dr. Alls, Dr. A, Dr. Alisha?
Either or. I'm not very picky. Dr. Alls, Dr. Alisha, whichever one. I'm fine with either or.
Okay. We'll try to keep it professional, but I probably by 30 minutes in, we'll be like, Alisha, sis,
Ma'am.
all of those things.
Run them earrings, ma'am. Run them earrings.
Yes. But please tell my audience who you are, introduce yourself, what you do.
Okay. I am Dr. Alisha Alls. I am from Ohio. I am a single mom of twin girls, doctor of education. I just received my doctorate last March, which I was super happy about.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I survived 3 traumatic brain injuries. My heart stopped twice. My goodness. I am a domestic violence survivor, and I currently live with a condition called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which causes my heart to stop at random and other random symptoms. I have worked as a mental health professional. I was a intervention specialist. I work with special education students, and I am currently at the collegiate level at a community college. Yes.
See, your bio doesn't do you any justice at all.
None.
Like, none.
Oh.
When I said, man, the promos for this, I got to add that. I don't know. I mean, they probably got a promo with like a cape waving in the background or something. We need to put that on there. So my first question to you, in terms of your condition, do you have a service animal?
I do not have a service animal. I'm able to manage pretty well by myself. I don't have a service animal as of yet. If it got worse, I would. It was bad for a little while, but once I got diagnosed, which took 8 years to do, once I got diagnosed, I was able to kind of manage pretty well. Yeah.
Wow. See, all of that in itself is just like a whole nother topic. Like, we would just have to bring you back just to talk about all of that. But our theme for this month on here was talking about self-esteem, boosting our self-esteem and time management, and how that contributes to mental health. So, the girls and I, we're going to... Tony, are you moving around?
Yeah.
Your mic is like super sensitive.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just like... Anyway, so we're going to kind of do like a informal, and everybody's going to kind of just jump in and kind of pick your brain about self-esteem and time management. So with that being said, at the top of our podcast, we talked about imposter syndrome, and Tony's got some great information about that too on our first episode. Have you dealt with imposter syndrome? How often does it show up? And basically, how do you combat it?
Yes, I have. Horribly, unfortunately. When I first got my doctorate, I think I cried for like 2 months. just because of imposter syndrome. Like, I really and truthfully did not feel like I deserved any of it. I didn't feel like I was where I wanted to be. I truly felt like imposter syndrome was real. Like, I did not deal with it well the first couple of months. I combat it now by kind of looking at where I started and where I am now. So I kind of keep track of my growth over the years. I look back at vision boards. I look back at goals that I've set to try to keep myself on track, to understand that, hey, I may not be exactly where I want to be, but I've accomplished the goals that I previously set. So it helps to keep me grounded, and it keeps me focused on where I am going and where I'm currently at versus everything that's telling me that the negative is happening. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think every last one of us can relate to that. I know Tony was telling me earlier that she found a survey that talked about imposter syndrome. So I want you to tell us about the test first, and then the 4 categories real quick of imposter syndrome.
All right. So I thought it was on Instagram, but it wasn't. It was on Facebook, and it was a quiz, and it was like the imposter syndrome types, which I did not know there were several types. I just thought it was just imposter. So there are 5 types of imposter syndrome: the perfectionist, the natural genius, the soloist, the expert, and the superhero. So perfectionism, I think we already know about what it means to be a perfectionist. The natural genius, which is the one that I was, is like when you're a person that stuff comes easily to you, you can learn stuff very easily. When you get to a place where you can't learn it easily, you get extremely frustrated and angry because that's not normal for you. A good example of this, I was trying to learn how to play the piano. And like I said, things come pretty easily to me, and I could not get it. And I just quit. Like, I didn't even go back to it. I was like, oh no, that's of the devil.
Next.
That's not from me.
Next.
The soloist is the person who has a problem asking for help, thinks that they have to do everything on their own. The expert is the person who knows everything. They feel like they're never good enough despite their skills, always hungry to learn more to maintain their position as an expert. And then the superhero, a tendency to push themselves past their limits, feels like they must excel in different roles they play in their life.
Bruh, am I all of those things?
You know,
I'm all of those except for the natural one.
Like natural genius?
Yeah, no, that's not me. That's not me at all. I'm not a natural genius. But I feel like I feel like I can fit in a few of them. Alisha?
I definitely agree with you on that, because I feel like sometimes I have to put superhero cape on and I have to be and do everything for everybody but myself. And then the perfectionist, I want everything the way I want it, or I want to try to make sure everything is just right, but I can't do everything. So yeah, I definitely feel like I'm like all of those in a nutshell.
Ayana, which one do you identify with? Because I see yours wheel spinning.
Yeah. I think predominantly I'm on the expert thing, because I am an avid learner. It is not because I want to say, hey, I know everything. No, I just am an avid learner. However, I can be very mean to myself. Yeah. So that was definitely, that one got me the most. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think the superhero one pulls at my cape. All right, Tony, you're up. What else you got? You're up next.
All right. So Dr. Alisha, with the demographic of children you work with, how does low self-esteem show up in them that you've noticed?
Oh goodness, low self-esteem is rampant, especially with the group of students and children that I work with. A lot of times it starts at home. Like, they're getting the negative talk, and then once they see the negative self-talk of their parents, or their parents just talking to them negatively, they take on those words and those affirmations that they're giving them. And a lot of times people don't realize that the affirmations that you give to yourself your children take on those affirmations, even though they may not have felt that way about themselves, but now they do because they heard mom say that I'm fat, or mom say, oh, I wish I was this size. So they take that on. So a lot of times it influences their self-esteem. So I see that a lot in the schools, and I see that a lot with the students that I work with. I would have to say that it's tough to combat, especially when they hear it so much at home. And a lot of times it's not even just the bullies at school that's doing it to them. It's the people that they live with or the people that they love the most, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I've experienced that too growing up, like being picked on by relatives the most. And then going to school and being picked on by other people because I moved quite a bit and went to different schools. But, I never even thought about how kids can pick up indirect affirmations. I never even thought about that. That's definitely something that I never expected.
Yeah. I was literally thinking the same exact thing. Like, I never thought me saying something bad about myself, even if I give my child those positive affirmations, if they're seeing me talk bad about myself, how that they can internalize that or that transference. Wow.
Yeah, when you were talking, I remembered a girlfriend talking to her daughter one day about, the little girl was upset. She said she was fat. And mom said, baby, you're not fat, you're beautiful. And so, later I talked to her, I said, she didn't say she was ugly. She said she was fat. And, mom just like, oh, snap. Like, she didn't even realize what she had said. And I'm like, you might be equating, her mom was a big lady, and so I'm like, honey, have you equated your bigness with ugliness? Different parts, so
yeah,
that's what came to mind when you said that.
Wow, that's gems, dropping gems tonight.
Right, that's so deep.
It's just us catching ourselves. I mean, like, even with this imposter syndrome thing, here I am, picking the one I pick, and I have realized through therapy how sensitive I am to being called stupid. Like, it is not a game. Like, I put that up there with the N-word, and I had to really think about when did I hear that, and how, especially in, and it was in childhood a lot. Don't be stupid, all that. And so being stupid is you pretty much right there with the N-word on me starting to want to swing on you. And how that has manifested in me is, again, that thirst for knowledge, right? And not feeling good enough, and sometimes not acknowledging that I have done pretty impressive stuff. Remember, this for me, like, I'm studying to be a counselor now, but I passed nuclear power school, and I still never felt good enough. I still never felt smart. I got a daggone degree in nuclear stuff. Nah, I couldn't have been that. I still need to do something else. Because that word, I used to get into fights over that word. Being called stupid was, for some people, like, girl, bye. But that was, I even have a physical reaction to it.
I think people have trigger words. I think there are some trigger words that a lot of people have.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, Dr. Alisha, what are some ways that you've helped them or are learning to help them when it comes to low self-esteem?
Sometimes it's honestly modeling has been one of my number one things, because a lot of times I get African-American girls that are like, well, my hair needs to look like this, or I need to look like that. And a lot of times, like, I literally just pulled it back this morning, but a lot of times I have my afro out and it's out to here, and people see me and they're like, they don't know me from across the room because they know I'm one of the only people in town that will rock the full fro. So showing them better, showing them that, hey, you can look the way you look and still feel good about yourself. And sometimes it's holding the mirror up to their face. What is it that you don't like? What is it that you feel that you do like? What makes you feel beautiful? Having those in-depth conversations. Who told you that you weren't special? Or who told you that you shouldn't feel good about yourself? and dive deep. Sometimes those are really uncomfortable conversations for them because we have the stigma of you can't tell your home life business to other people. So a lot of times, I can't talk about this. You can, and we will, because it's important. And even bringing mom, dad, or whoever they may live with into the conversation as well, because sometimes they don't know that they've influenced their self-talk, or somebody in the family, like previously, unfortunately, like I have twin daughters, they're 9 now. But when they were about 3, they had a family member tell them that in order to be a princess, they had to have straight hair. It blew me away. Like they used to rock the Afro puff all the time. So for me, it was like, how dare you talk to my kids like that? And so for me, I'm like, okay, you see mommy's hair. Like it was just a lot of modeling and talking. But for the students and the children that I work with, a lot of times it really is just sitting them down, having the in-depth conversations, showing them the real, and sometimes pulling examples from other people. Like a lot of times you'll see celebrities. How do you think this celebrity feels about themselves? What is the way they act say about them? Do you think that they're confident? Do you feel like they're on top of the world, or do you feel like they're feeling kind of crappy today? Do you think that they're real people? So sometimes connecting them to their own heroes can show them like, hey, they have good days and bad days, or showing them without makeup. Because sometimes they're like, no, they never look bad. Ma'am, look at her without that makeup on, and I can tell you that she does not look the same way. So a lot of times it's just getting them to understand that what they see sometimes online is not the reality of what their life may look like or what it's going to look like. So it's just really having those in-depth conversations and kind of putting a real and a metaphoric mirror in front of them to say, this is the real, this is your life, this is what you look like, whether whoever feels whatever about you, you're beautiful inside and out, and try to just build them up.
That's awesome. I'm glad that our conversations around Black women and their hair are moving in a different direction. Like I appreciate actresses like Viola Davis and Tabitha Brown, because Tab will get on there with all her stretch marks out, her hair undone, no lashes, and just be like, listen, and then be clowning. And I love it.
Because I have to stop you right. First of all, that's Abatha and Donna. I'm going to need you to say their names, ma'am. Say their names right.
Abatha.
Abatha is her tummy, and the hair is Donna. Okay, you have to say the name, because show respect.
My bad. Respectfully, Abatha. Listen.
So let me get the avocado nation on you.
Abatha had me all in my feelings talking about I got one ab. Like I did like 5 sit-ups and was like, look, I got one ab. One ab.
When she discovered Pilates, she was showing that ab too. Go ahead, Ab.
I still can't do Pilates. But no, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation about our hair and how we have to show up. Look, real quick. Y'all know that I have to be in front of some really high-ranking military officials. And I wanted to put the same braids that I had in my hair when I went on my cruise in January. But I was told no. You can't sit in front of general officers with braids. That unfortunately, I still have to show up with my my Eurocentric hair straightened because I have not gotten there yet. And like I said, that's a whole nother conversation, but we still are in this fight of how we have to show up, how we have to get that seat at the table. And for me right now, it's getting to the table, and then I can change the demographic of the table once I get there.
Yeah.
That's real.
It is.
Yeah, I got mad.
It's sad. Listen, it's sad, but
yeah, that's unfortunate reality. Like when I graduated, I'm like, what am I going to do with my hair? And my girls were like, show them who you are. I went with a braid out for my graduation because of that. Like I was going to braid it up, and they're like, nope. They're like, show them who you are. Like, okay. This.
I love your TikToks. By the way, yes, this is how we met. I slid in her DMs. I totally slid in her DMs and was like, I know this is weird, but I really like your vibe. I said something like that.
Come on my podcast. I always tell my airmen, I tell them it's so important that you show up as your authentic self, especially if you're a leader, because you very rarely see that. I think we talked about that on the last podcast, of people leading from an authentic place, because it impacts people's lives. I just recently had this NCO and she tells me, maybe I'm unapproachable because of my accent. I said, what's wrong with your accent? Well, because it's not professional. I said, no, they just need to listen better. If we can talk to people who have broken English and understand them, I can understand you from Georgia. Period. Don't ever change that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because somebody might hear that accent and be like, oh my gosh, she sounds like a Christmas hug. I feel so comforted.
I had an officer say that to me in Oklahoma. She's from Louisiana. And you already know how in the bayou, she was like, it's hard for her as an officer, especially if she was in field artillery. So she was one of the first Black female commanders in the field artillery unit. And she got this deep bayou. Like, she sounded straight out of Princess Frog. And I was like, young lady, and you show up just like that. You better call them cadences in that bayou accent.
But you notice they never tell the men to code switch. It adds a little spice to their leadership when they got a little draw. It does. They be like, oh, listen to that accent. They love it. Give them a little code name and everything.
Not the spice. Yes. Ayana, you got the next question.
Oh, well, I'll just add this real quick. For me, especially becoming a speaker, I'm very intentional about being loud with my look. You're going to see a bunch of colors. You're going to see, dreads down to my butt the last time we did a speaking engagement, whatever. Because this is going to be me. I'm going to be extra crispy with the hot sauce, just all that. Jerk salt, everything. Partly it's because of me. It's, the reason why I did not speak was because of how I felt about myself. So now I'm doing something in my purpose, and I'm going to be seen. And God bless you if you tell me to straighten out my hair, because I don't do them things, right? I gave that up years ago. Actually, I gave it up for my sons. I never realized how they were being impacted. We got to a status financially that we were able to put them in private school. And I had one coming home wanting to relax his hair, and the other one just asking about stuff, just very intimidated and needing to have straight hair. And here I was with my weaves, which, hey, nothing wrong with the weaves and stuff, but I felt that I was not showing the self appreciation. So that's when I did my big chop, and I haven't gone back.
That's a Viola moment for sure.
Well, for real. I mean, I told him, here, I want you to be with somebody who loves you back, not because of how straight or curly their hair is, but I just felt like it was really necessary for me to model that. And, that's the way it was. So that's just my little piece. Okay. Ma'am. See, now you're in ma'am status. Ma'am.
I love it. Yes, ma'am.
Do you find special needs children's self-esteem challenges unique?
Yes, I do. Because you already have to deal with the normal self-esteem issues of a child. But then when you throw in special needs, that adds a whole other layer and a whole other issue on top of what they already deal with. Because God forbid somebody finds out they have an IEP, then it's, oh, well, you're this or you're that. And it's like, no, because just because I may have autism doesn't mean I'm not smart. Like they feel like they can pick on them and degrade them. And I went into special education because I felt like they're treated so badly. And once I got to a level where I was able to help, I wanted to make sure that they understood that they had a place in society. So it's like dealing with children, because a lot of times children can be very cruel to each other, very much so. And to add a special education element to it, I do feel like they deal with a lot more than, I won't say normal, an average kid.
Neurotypical.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. But I'm a special needs mom, so.
Same. And I have a diagnosis with daggone self. So, I still to this day, one of my sons, he has an issue with it. He doesn't want to, be labeled or all these things. And I'm like, and then finally I just have to remind him, I said, your mama like that, right? So that cool weirdness that you love about me, there you go. And I'm still able to, I have quirks and I may have to work in a different way for certain things. And I'm, but what's so wrong with being, not boring, right?
Right? Not being ordinary.
Right. What the world would be so boring without autistic people.
Even my business is because my neighbor, she said, Yana, your ADHD is a superpower, child, because you just stay learning something in your head is like a Rolodex of information. I had one lady call me Home Depot recently, or they call me walking Google. I mean, if you use it, why not? And that's the hard part is, like you said, because I think, yes, you can get the cheerleading from mom, but them kids mean, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Them kids are.
I have to say, you guys know, like Dr. Alisha doesn't know. Alisha doesn't know that I get emotional about my son, Joshua. I do. I tend to tear up, and Joshua made me cry this week. So, as we're talking about military children, the unique needs of special needs child, you now add the intersectionalities of being a military child. So children who have to move every 4 years, who may not have the stability of a community and their community is different. I have to say, I don't want to use the word stability because I think my children found stability in living on post, understanding that the people that lived next door were also military, helped with their sense of security. But not being able to have stable friends, knowing that they were about to lose their friends again every 4 years, it was really difficult for them. And for Josh, even more so, because making friends, having Asperger's, very, very difficult for him. And Joshua didn't go outside like a lot of the kids. Joshua's, sensory disorders just didn't give him the space to want to be at Chuck E. Cheese or to have birthday parties. Joshua's like, take me to Long John Silver and I'm good, Mom. And I'm like, of all restaurants, why that one? Everything tastes like fish. But Joshua's real basic, and I love that about him. He was that kid that was low energy, but I could appreciate it at times. And recently, and I'm gonna try to do this without crying, because I'm telling you, when I tell you he made me bawl this week, the last month Joshua has told me that he wants to be a firefighter. And knowing Joshua has sensory disorders, wearing a uniform, anything that would irritate his skin, make him feel heavy or weighed down. I walked through that with Joshua, and he was like, no, Mom, I want to do this. So he's been showing up at this volunteer fire station for the last month or so, reading the manuals, learning what to do. I'm not going to not be able to cry. So yesterday he sent me a video. Joshua is definitely afraid of heights. And yesterday he shared a video of his next step, and he had to climb the ladder. He had to get on the ladder engine, and he had to go to the top. And I lost it, because I was like, he's so dedicated to doing this. And even people in our family are like, are you sure? The doubt from within really hurt him, because he's like, for the first time, he went there and said, hey, I am autistic, but I really want to do this. And everyone in that engine has supported him. And to me, that type of self-esteem boost can do wonders, because I don't think if he didn't have the support of those people at that engine, at that firehouse, that he would have been able to do what he's doing right now. And I cannot wait to share with the world that Joshua was a firefighter.
That is so cool. Oh, man.
That's
that kind of stability. Yeah, I tried to get through it without crying, but I couldn't. Sorry.
I think people think when you're on the spectrum that, like, I don't know, like something is like completely wrong with you. Like you're just completely defective. Like when I found out I was on the spectrum, when I would tell people, everybody's like, oh my God, you know, or I was told you can pray that away. I said, why on earth would I ever pray that away? This just adds like an extra layer to me. This makes me extremely interesting. To me, I feel like it made me extremely interesting because now I get the opportunity to go through life differently than other people. And there's nothing wrong with that. And just because you have those limitations doesn't mean that you can't do other things. You can do other things if you really, really want to. It just makes the way you do it differently. Yeah. That's it.
And having that support, like I think for Joshua, the educators being at school, like when Joshua was in high school, he had this one coach. He was his wrestling coach. Again, something else that we just didn't think that Joshua was going to be able to do because wrestling requires people to touch you. And Joshua, I mean, they told me when he was a baby, they were like, he's probably never going to hug you. And I'm like, the devil is a lie. But yeah, when his wrestling coach was just one of those, and I say educator versus teacher, and I don't mean to be offended because I feel like sometimes people are teachers and then there are people that are educators. And these educators out here are the ones that I feel like pour their heart and their soul into these kids that they are in front of for 8 hours a day. Like we share this responsibility of molding them. And I was so grateful for his coach who saw Joshua all the way to graduation. Like he showed up at Joshua's graduation dinner and I was blown away. And so I brought that up about military children because I know, Alisha, you said you don't really run into military children often, but do you find that like kids that are transient, perhaps like homeless or do move around a lot, do you see that as an educator?
Yes, I do see that, unfortunately, quite often. Goodness, I would often, like I taught life skills when I was in the K-12 area. So a lot of times I was having drawers of food and snacks and clothes and shoes. So a lot of times the focus when they would leave out of my classroom, it was tough because they weren't focused on, hey, I got to get this math down or I got to memorize that. They're like, I had one student, he was worried if he was even going to be able to get in his house because his mom was arrested that morning. So it was like, they don't care about you trying to get them to do this math problem right the first time. That you have to be able to empathize and sympathize with them and talk to them to understand what they're going through. They'll get the lesson, but you can't just shove it down their throat and expect them to just get it. You have to try to be there for them, not only as their teacher, but like you said, like the educator part, like with sometimes teachers don't understand. You have to be more than just do this, learn that. You're their therapist sometimes, you're their friend, you're their aunt, if you're a male, you're their uncle, you're their cousin, you're their sister. And in a lot of cases, I looked like them. So therefore, it was a whole other type of connection that when I was dealing with the students that were homeless or that had issues at home, being able to give them a safe space while they were there was important. And it was hard sometimes, but it was very necessary and important.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's powerful. I think every last one of us in terms of the mental health can relate to that statement that you said about them not focusing on the problem. They're focusing on other things, especially in the mental health field. If they have needs that are not being met, if they're hungry, if they're being abused, if they're housing insecure, like unless we address those issues, what are we talking about your depression for?
Exactly.
Why are we talking about,
Let me write you a note. You need a home.
Yeah.
You need, you need some food.
When your basic needs are not being met, I think we all can relate to Maslow's hierarchy. When your basic needs are not being met, you are definitely not focused on, let me address, my issues from childhood, because that's done and over with right now. how can I, boost my self-esteem when I've got to take a shower in, our local gas station every night.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's cool.
I've seen what I normally say when it comes to situations like these, what I've seen in mental health, definitely when it comes to like populations of people of color, we're trying to give privileged people solutions for oppressed people problems. And those don't work. They don't add up.
Where's
and
my button?
I don't think people realize that, just like, Dr. Poe was saying, like, if I'm housing insecure, what does it matter? How do I feel? You know what I'm saying? Why do I even care about what's going on in my childhood? I don't have nowhere to live. Or I live in a place that's extremely unsafe. I might have to come outside and step over a dead body. What about that? Like,
I had to deal
about that.
What are you doing for self-care?
Yeah.
How are you processing? Are you doing your affirmations? I just seen a dead body. What affirmations am I going to do today?
Yeah. Listen, and when you I had to deal with that a lot working with girls in human trafficking. We're talking about these girls that are out here surviving, that are using all their survival skills to be able to eat, feed themselves, or have a place to put their head. And you want me to do coping mechanisms. I can't tell them how to cope with trauma. We got to address the influx of trauma that's still happening to them. They're still in it. So it's almost like putting a crab in a pot and like expecting that crab to get out the pot when you're like, you have to get them out the pot first, right? But you just like, you study like feeding a crab, and I'm like, you understand they're in it. This isn't a situation where we can tell the crab to like, don't die. But you got them in boiling water. And it's a frustrating process, but, man, I'm gonna have a lot of clips from this episode this week.
Right?
Everybody dropping gems.
This is a good one. I mean, all of them are good, honestly.
But we're gonna move on to time management, because that's the other part we were talking about, not just boosting our self-esteem as it relates to our mental health, but how our time management too can also affect our self-esteem and our mental health. Because I don't know anybody on here that got more than 24 hours. Y'all got more than 24 hours? Y'all want to sell any? Okay.
That may be me. I may have more than 24 hours.
Wow. She got a clone.
I'm like the time management queen. I'm sorry. So I probably
you got that
more than 24 hours.
She did that clone thing. Oh, I need a clone too.
Nah, I'm just extremely unhealthy. I don't sleep. That's all that is.
Now we need to get her into help. Okay. Now, what was your question, Tony?
Okay. All right. So how do you manage your time as it relates to your mental health?
I do a lot of scheduling. Like, I have a notepad. I don't even have it over here, but I have a notepad that I literally every morning when I'm in the car in the line to drop the girls off for school, I literally write down every single thing down to the hour, sometimes the minute that I have to do it. And as I go through my day, I check it off. And for me, that is a sense of accomplishment. Like, I'm like, yeah, I knocked out, but I don't look at it as a to-do list. Like, I actually made up my own little notepads, and it says daily goal list. So instead of it making it like a negative thing, I'm like, yep, I'm hitting these goals. Even if it's like, hey, drop the girls off at 9 a.m. I have to consciously look at it like a good thing. I'm taking the kids to school. I did all of this stuff for today. And then at the end of the day, I look at my list and I'm like, man, I killed it for today. And it keeps me on track. Because otherwise I am going to be like, ADD will have me just all over the place, and I will not be able to focus. I'll be trying to do 5 different things at one time. So that keeps me grounded and level. So that way I'm not all over the place, and it helps me with my time management greatly. Yeah.
I have a notepad like that too. It says, WTF am I doing today?
I know that's right.
I'm like Alisha though. I changed the mindset of having to-do lists. I put mine says intentions. Mine are intentions. I set my intentions at night. So for me, before I go to sleep, I set my intentions for tomorrow. And I do that on purpose so that one, I'm not going to sleep ruminating about what I have to do tomorrow. the last thing that's on my mind is what I have to do, because I've already done that. I've set my intentions for the day. These are the things that I am intentionally going to go after. I keep mine digitally because sis, this right here, this is a problem. This right here, this is my life.
Don't do it.
I can't do one-offs that are over here just pile up, but I keep everything digitally. Mm-hmm. And you should see my board over here. I got 3 dry erase boards. It's bad.
Yes, Lord. It's something up in here too.
But it helps me so.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to just make a dry erase board wall and just call it a day.
I did literally. I'm not kidding. At our house in Baltimore, Michael at the time went and got paint. That's dry erase paint, and painted the entire wall dry erase paint so I could write on. People would come in my house and be like, "Did you?" Yes, and chalkboard paint.
I did chalkboard in my garage.
Yeah, you can buy chalkboard paint.
That's cool. I like that.
People would come in my house all the time and be like, "Did you write on your walls?"
See, this is how I read, and then I was reading on Asperger just coincidentally because I've been trying to find some more stuff to help my son. So this is just quinky dinky.
Yes.
But
I love it.
Tabs everywhere. Tabs, and Post-its.
Is this one of them things? We're always dropping resources too. Whenever we talk about something, we try to drop, if we tell people about something, we try to drop resources. So I'm definitely I got to write it down to put the resources in there about dry erase paint. Yes. Okay, wait.
Well, speaking of which, we did talk about military and having exceptional family members like our kids. And there's something called the Exceptional Family Member Program that too many people do not know about. Also, what I want to say is that for us, not just for us parents, but the people with disabilities, or I believe the elderly also can use organizations like vocational rehab to help them with job training and job accommodations, because that's the big thing. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. No, we'll make sure we drop those in the thing. Alisha, are there any resource that you can think off the top of your head that you want people to know about?
Oh goodness.
She's gonna drop her website or something.
We can get back.
I have notepads on my website.
Okay, we're definitely gonna put that in there for sure. We definitely put all of that in there. We're gonna let you plug that too at the end. I know, Tony, you got one more for her, right? Yep. You got
yes. No, I did.
Okay.
So as an educator, educators must be proficient in time management, considering that they have to follow a curriculum. What are some of the ways you've seen them do this?
Oh my goodness. A lot of times, sometimes it was beneficial, sometimes it wasn't, but they would combine lessons. So like say they were working on, like for my class, I taught life skills. So a lot of times I would incorporate life skills with math and reading all at the same time. And it cut down on a lot of, hey, we gotta stop this lesson so we can work on this lesson. I was able to combine all of like, hey, we're working on money, but I need you to be able to read this check in the process. And so it allowed me more freedom to say, okay, we can run over on time. So instead of just doing 1 hour for math, 1 hour for reading, I was able to do 2 straight hours of, hey, we're working on full-blown life skills while I'm teaching you all this extra stuff that technically wasn't totally part of my curriculum, but I did see that a lot. In my classroom, we would write down each hour what we were doing. That helped with the time management a lot because the kids were able to stay on track. And since I work with students with special needs, it helped them a lot because they would go up to the board. Well, we're supposed to be doing this at this time. I know, but we're supposed to be doing this at this time. Okay, we're going to switch over to this now. But a lot of times they knew that, hey, we have a schedule. Typically, we stick to that schedule. And that's what a lot of the people in my pod, as we call them, that's what we did to stay on track and to keep time management going, because it wasn't only beneficial for us, it was beneficial for the students as well. So, yeah.
And also it teaches them how to actually live life, because isn't that how life is? Isn't that how adulting is? We're doing multiple things at one time. I would love if I could just take one time and focus on, one specific thing, but we're doing it all at one time.
Listen, My mind looks like my computer at all times, 20 tabs open all the time.
Mhm.
That's how my mind is. I got 20 tabs running in the background.
Mhm.
Same.
Yeah.
Just like squirrel.
Right.
Listen, so go ahead, Ayana. You can ask the last one because we, coming up on 45 minutes.
All right. Doctor. Now, I know about the notebook, okay? But do you use any technology to assist you when you're with your time management? Or, anything that's worked for you that you can suggest?
I typically do. I don't use a lot of. I am so technologically challenged. I don't use a lot of technology, but I will say, like, I set timers on my phone. So that does help me. So, like, in the morning, I set a timer to take the girls to school. I'm like, because sometimes they'll be doing God knows what. And I'm like, oh my God, the alarm just went off. It's time to get you to school. So that helps me to stay on track if I'm not just looking dead at the clock. But for the most part, it really is just my phone. Like, I don't really use my iPad much. Just setting alarms. That's what helps me the most, honestly. Yeah, and I'm a paper pencil person, so doing like scheduling on my iPad drives me crazy. So I always have to do it on paper.
So that's why I got this. I tell them about my Remarkable all the time. My Remarkable is literally just a notebook that helps me organize like my thoughts. So I've got all these folders, but then I can pull up it literally like a piece of paper. So I write down my notes in here. It's called a Remarkable, and I don't go.
This is the new commercial. Make sure you holler at your girl and sponsor her.
And I don't get no credit. By the way, they did not tell me to say this because I know on YouTube you got to be like, no, they are not paying me to say this, and no, there's no discount code. So no.
Shameless plug.
Basically, I'm sending them money all the time, but I love that Remarkable. That keeps me organized. That's where I write my intentions down. But I told them about my little forest app last week. Y'all remember I told y'all about my forest app, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't like to kill trees. So I have this app on my phone called the Forest app. And basically, it puts your phone on Do Not Disturb. You plant a tree for however much time you want to focus. If you touch your phone, you kill your tree. No. I don't like to kill trees. And then you can customize it to like send you messages. So if you pick up the phone, like for me, again, positive affirmations. So when I pick up my phone, if I get tempted, it'll say things like, as long as you stay focused, you'll reach your goals. Or the small amount of time is like big results. So I make sure it yells at me, but not in a bad way, to put down my phone or I'm going to kill my tree.
Like, you're killing trees. Stop.
I'm a tree hugger. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I do take my notepads. I cut them up and I actually do compost. So I put my papers in my compost.
Wow, that's different.
I like the garden. So yeah.
I need land.
That's different.
I need land.
Yeah.
I love it. Look at her. She out here saving the planet too.
I know.
You ain't even put that on your bio.
Lives, right? Hey, she need a cape in the back. Like, we definitely need a cape.
She ain't even tell us that she's out here saving the planet and stuff. What?
I Captain Planet.
So like,
I know, I was just thinking that.
Oh, see why you say that. Listen, don't start that song because I'm gonna start singing it and then it's gonna be stuck in my head.
Not sing a song, really. Like, how is
I can't. Ayana. You know, show tunes is my weakness.
Is it?
Show tunes are my worst, I swear. I know like all the Muppets theme song. I know the Gummy Bears from like back in the day. You remember the Gummy Bears?
Yes, the Gummy Bears.
Fraggle Rock.
I'll see here and there.
I remember Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle Rock. We all compare. We got the Gummy Bears.
I can't.
Come on now. That's why I had to marry my husband. That's why I had to marry him, because I checked him on his how much songs he knew from the
Saturday morning cartoons. Like, I'm telling you right now, if a man don't know Saturday morning cartoons, throw him away. I don't want it.
Or he's incredibly too young.
And you gotta know like WWF
too
stuff.
young.
Anyway, so we have another segment, a part of our show where we talk about Are You Aware? And that's basically where we highlight different types of awareness that's going on in the world. And we try to keep it fun and at the same time serious. So February 11th, which is coming up, since we're recording on the 9th, is International Day of Women and Girls in Science. And I love this because STEM is awesome. We definitely need more women in science. So just so y'all know, on February 11th, make sure y'all highlight that we got our women and girls in science. February 13th, the day before that other day, I don't really care about. Self-love day.
My favorite day? That's my favorite day, though.
Valentine's Day.
It's my favorite holiday. It's the only holiday that I actually celebrate.
I feel like you're sarcastic. I feel like you're being sarcastic, but I'm not sure.
I'm serious. I love Valentine's. Valentine's Day is literally the only holiday that I actually celebrate outside of my birthday.
Because you love yourself?
I love people. I think it's so important.
Who are you?
Like for me,
Ayana.
Like when I work in the office, like say I work in the office, like with a bunch of females, I get all the females something for Valentine's Day. So if you don't have somebody showing you love that day, I'm showing you that love on that day.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Pick me up front. Pick me. Love with me. All right, the last one, February 20th, and this is important because I got to ask Alisha. February 20th is National Pancake Week. Are you a pancake person or are you a waffle person?
I'm a pancake person.
Really?
I mean, it all makes me sleepy, but I am a pancake person.
Oh, you know today is National Pizza Day, right?
Oh, man.
Listen, as a non-dairy person, I don't partake, so.
Well, I did for you. You're welcome.
That's what I do.
I'm a waffle person. I'm going to put it out there.
I like waffles. I like pancakes.
Waffles are more fun. Waffles have pockets, and I like putting stuff in pockets.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
I feel like waffles are versatile, and they.
I don't know. I mean, they are. I just want to take you when you guys come to San Antonio the next time. There is a spot. The name escapes me right now, but it's owned by a charity, so there's a menu, but there's no prices, right? And they
free waffles.
It's not free.
$50 for a waffle. Ain't no price. It's market price.
Well, it's donations, so
Okay.
Don't be able, right? But but it's like lemon ricotta something. Those are some of my favorite pancakes. It is fantastic.
Wow. I wonder if they're doing anything for National Pancake Week.
I want to say Comfort Cafe, I believe is the name of it. Anyway.
You need to go down there on February 20th and see if they're doing anything for National Pancake Week. Okay. Alisha, I say you celebrate National Pancake Week with whatever type of pancakes. Do you like fruit in your pancakes?
I like blueberries in my pancakes. I love blueberries.
Some people don't. Like I've known people that are like, I don't like warm blueberries. And I'm like, what's the difference? Warm, hot. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm a banana person myself.
I don't know. I hate bananas.
I knew it. I knew I'd find something. I
hate them, man. I hate bananas.
She clutched her pearls. What? What do you mean you hate bananas?
I hate them. Bananas. I don't like them. It's just nasty.
Raising awareness, people. Listen, I had fun. I think this podcast was amazing. I cannot wait to do the clips with you all. Dr. Alisha Alls, please, outside of me following you on TikTok, please let everyone know how we can support you in what you're doing. Where can we find you? What platforms are you on?
I am on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Find me, Dr. Alisha Alls. I have a website, dralishaalls.com. And yeah. You can find me pretty much anywhere. A lot of times you'll see me crocheting, but yeah.
Okay, that I don't know how to do. That's too much for me.
Yeah,
that's right up there with playing the piano.
I know people who know how to do that though. I'm just like, I'm not gonna even mess with my self-esteem and try to.
Wow. Yeah, no. You said 29 years?
Yep, since I was 8. Yep.
Wow.
29 years. I can do it without looking now. So yeah.
Kudos to you. I know there's a whole community on TikTok of people that crochet, and you'd be surprised how many men have been there knitting. Yes.
I love it. And, help with dexterity, all those great things.
I hope I'm sure that it is. Listen, again, I'm grateful. I end my podcast every single time with the same thing. Time is a finite resource, so anytime you spend it on me, I appreciate it. Thank you so much to our audience. We're very excited about this, and we'll put the resources in the link below on our YouTube channel. So thank you, everybody. Do good, be good.